excited about this, having a look at 10 years of your Shiraz, how it's changed. Obviously, you're incredible award winning. I think we should actually go newest to oldest.
Newest to oldest? Okay.
Yeah, go backwards in your story.
Yes.
Take it back to where it all
Strip
began.
the layers off.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your most recent release?
The 2018 Mon Père. We released that a couple of weeks ago.
So tell me all about it. Where's the fruit coming from now?
So 18 was about 90% from Upper Duart Valley, so Bushy Park.
Okay.
From the old Meadowbank vineyard. And about 10% came out of a vineyard in Coal River.
I've in, I think. Just that real intensity in the youth. I mean, when you make your Shiraz, are you expecting a lot of longevity? Because I think people who aren't so familiar with Tasmanian Shiraz may not be expecting a Syrah that can last and last and last. Obviously, you chucked the rule book out years ago, but what's your approach when you're actually making it?
Yeah, definitely structure to age. So longer ferment times, longer times on skin, store conclusion, whole bunch, depending on the year, of course. Don't want to do too much stalk-related work when it's going to be a green, a cooler year.
And you can definitely taste what you were saying there about there is that fresh, right, beautiful acidity as well. You've got the drool factor, which is an official term.
Yeah. All right, I'm changing the back level. Just give me a second.
Scribble it down afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look elsewhere for inspiration for these ones.
Excellent. So this one, 2014, we've got 7 years aging.
I can smell it. I can smell it.
I know. It's in a glorious spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still a baby. But it's silky, isn't it? What a way to go. It's still got...
It's still useful, isn't it?
Still such a baby. When you started making Syrah down here, 2014 is probably sort of equidistant almost to you starting and where we are now. Yeah. Was this what you expected that you might make or hoped?
That's probably what I hoped, yeah. So when I first moved down, I saw some old Marilla Shiraz that Alain Rousseau, now Frogmore, had made. And they really reminded me of Saint-Joseph, kind of that fragrance of Cote Rôtie.
Yeah.
And I was blown away that we could do that style in Australia.
Look, you are almost, Shiraz Mafia family, aren't you? There's a lot of Shiraz talent going around in the genes.
Yeah. Well, great grandparents, Charles and Martha planted Shiraz in the 1850s in the Barossa. Yeah.
It's in a glorious spot, because I often, when I'm talking about wine and aging, when you are looking at wines at age, you sort of look at them often on the way up.
Yes.
And it's so lovely when you see they've got such a long period, whereas some wines, it's almost like a graph that can be you've got a window of opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's delicious now, but this will just keep going and going, and more of those savoury characteristics. And I suppose you do really see that more European influence coming through with the flavour profile as well.
Yeah, as I said, it's less primary fruit and more of the secondary characters. Yeah.
And it's very impressive. So we're going to look at the 13 straight after, because this is the last vintage of the
using
old
some
fruit
Tamar
selection.
fruit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it's about 3/4 from Tamar Valley.
Okay, so it is quite a marked difference then.
Yes.
Let's go. What's the smart? Okay, 2013.
It's exciting. Haven't looked at this for a while either. This was one of the bigger volumes that I've done of Shiraz. So 13, slightly warmer year. Shiraz set well, so the yields were good.
Excellent. We'll dive straight in. Sort of, beautiful brambles and pencil shavings. It's...
A little bit floral.
Geez, that's a little cracker. That is a fascinating little wine, isn't it? And to see the two of them, I mean, would you say, yes, you've got different sorts of fruit, but would you say that it's wildly different of vintage conditions between them both as well? Because you said, 13 was that warmer year. 14 much cooler, much cooler, yeah. Well, the 14 coming from the Coal River Valley and Duart Valley, perhaps a slightly warmer site to the vineyard that I was sourcing from in the Tamar. Fascinating.
Good to see.
Yeah, it really is. It's lovely to see 2 years next to each other that are so markedly different.
Well, that's the beauty about Tassie.
Yes.
We do have the very marginal climate, so the vintage variation is very obvious. I think some people get disappointed that they don't get the same product every year.
Yeah.
And I explained that it is so different. You know, the harvest date for Shiraz varies in Tassie by 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, from early April through to the middle of May sometimes. So of course you're going to get different structures built in there, and you know, I try and sell it as it's exciting. You don't know what you're going to get for that particular vintage, and
it's a natural product, isn't it?
It is,
and,
yeah.
you know, they very much are snapshots of a year and a time and a place, aren't they?
Yes. So this won the Jimmy Watson Trophy back in 2011. So the Melbourne Wine Show, big trophy, I guess. Traditionally going to the big winemakers that have vineyards in South Australia or Western Australia, Victoria.
So you've got a bit of family history with that as well?
Yes, Uncle Johnny has got 4 Jimmy Watson trophies when he was working at Wolf Blass, but he won 3 of those back to back in the 70s, and there were basically 10 wines into the whole show. So,
so it's different now.
It's completely different. I think there are about 2,000 wines entered in the Melbourne show.
Right. And tell me about the Tasmanian Jimmy Watsons before you.
Zero Jimmy Watsons. I think there was a runner-up with Heemskirk in the 80s, possibly, but. Yeah, no actual winners from Tassie.
Mm-hmm. That might be your opportunity to briefly let go of the humble for a small window, and then return to the humbleness.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big, special, big moment for Tasmania as well.
It was huge for Tassie, yeah.
And even when I took some of your wine to England, it was like I was bringing treats from Narnia. Because with such a small percentage of Tasmanian wine, and then small again of something like a Syrah.
Yes.
It was just sort of like,
yes.
I've brought you the rarities from my land.
Yeah.
How is this 11 years old and still that fruit?
It's big fruit. But some nice pepper there.
Wonderful structure.
Charcuterie board. Yeah, it's got... Well, I found the 13 was sort of lacking a bit in the mid palate, whereas this just powers all the way through.
There's a weight to this one that's different on the 13. Probably more similar to the 14, just with that real, almost like quite grounded weight.
Yeah.
I suppose you've got that similarity of both south?
Yes, both south. That's right, yeah.
Look, I can see why they gave you the best sticker for this one. Strong work, my friend.
Thank you. Good to share.
Oh, such a crack. I'm not.
No, I'm not going to share that.
I'm going to have this one.
Yeah, so this is the first vintage of Glaetzer-Dixon, 2008. Back when I was a winemaker at Frogmore Creek. So this was made a bit different to these guys. I didn't do any whole bunch or any store conclusion. That was just D-stem fruit fermented over about 6 days. And you can see it's got a brighter fruit profile, but I suspect the palate doesn't have as much suppleness as the earlier one, the later ones.
Definitely a lot more fruit. As we've tasted through these, how have you seen your own sort of skills as a winemaker, and whether it's your confidence or whether it's your screw it, I don't care, do my own thing. Can you see how that's changed as we've gone through the wines?
I think so. I mean, I have changed as a winemaker from being very analytical to letting the fruit do a bit more and not, fermenting for 5 or 6 days only and then pressing through to sitting on skins for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
This is only, the 2008 was, 2-3 years after coming out of uni. So it's made with a textbook approach for Australia.
It is very, very textbook.
Yes.
Look, it's a little cracker, but stylistically it's just so different to the other wines.
Yes. So there's the same amount of new oak in this, but you can see that's a bit more obvious, I think, because it doesn't have the fruit structure.
What made you break away?
I was just, when I made this wine, I think I was trying to compare it against Rhone Valley wines, and the mid palate was the thing that was missing for me. So I'm like, right, what can I do to give the wine more mid palate? And I can leave it on skins for longer, I can do stalk inclusion. That's when I started experimenting a bit with Pinot Gris as well, and then also leaving it in barrel for longer and on lees for longer. So techniques that traditionally used for Pinot, and they work well for Shiraz.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. This has just been, it's been an incredible experience to go through these wines that I've seen at sort of little points through my time here, and it's, well done, mate.
Thanks, Kelly.